What if everything you thought you knew about seafood after turning 60 was wrong? For decades, we've been told that seafood is the healthiest protein on the planet, rich in omega-3 seconds, lean, heart-friendly, and in many ways, it is. But here's the twist. Not all seafood is created equal. Some can help reduce inflammation, strengthen your joints, and sharpen your memory. But others, despite their healthy appearance, may silently harm your brain, your heart, or even your immune system, especially as you age. Recent studies from trusted American health institutions like the CDC and Harvard Medical School have uncovered troubling patterns. Some seafood, especially certain imported or raw varieties, can carry bacteria, toxins, or metals that your body could once handle in your youth. But after 60, when the immune system slows and organs work a little harder to keep up, these same foods can quietly cause more harm than good. In today's episode, we'll walk through 4 types of seafood that health experts suggest older adults should avoid or limit, based on science, not fear. But this isn't just a warning. We'll also explore 4 other seafoods that can actually work like medicine for your aging body, supporting memory, joints, energy, and mood. These aren't fads. They're backed by U.S. government guidelines, peer-reviewed studies, and real stories from people just like you who made a simple switch and changed their health for the better. So if you've been feeling a bit more forgetful lately, or if your joints ache more than they used to, or you simply want to make better food choices without giving up seafood altogether, stay with us. What you hear today might not only surprise you, it might just add years of strength and clarity to your life. Let's begin with the first seafood you should avoid, or at least approach with great caution, especially if you're over 60. Raw oysters from warm coastal waters. At first glance, raw oysters feel like a luxury. They're served at celebrations, anniversaries, seaside restaurants, but beneath their elegant presentation hides a microscopic threat: Vibrio vulnificus. This is a naturally occurring bacterium that thrives in warm, brackish waters along the Gulf Coast and other southern U.S. regions. And for healthy young adults, a mild case of food poisoning might be the worst outcome. But for older adults, especially those with underlying health conditions like liver disease or diabetes, this bacteria can lead to something far more dangerous: septicemia, a fast-moving blood infection that can turn life-threatening within hours. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, approximately 80,000 Americans get sick from Vibrio each year. Of those, Vibrio vulnificus causes an estimated 100 deaths annually, with the vast majority affecting people over 60. Why? Because as we age, the immune system loses some of its defense strength. The body becomes less efficient at neutralizing bacterial invaders. The symptoms of Vibrio infection often start subtly. You might feel slightly nauseous or chilled after a seafood dinner. But in severe cases, things escalate quickly: fever, skin lesions, extreme fatigue, and in rare but serious cases, organ failure. For those with weakened immunity, the bacteria can double in the bloodstream in under 30 minutes, leaving very little time to react. If you enjoy oysters, the good news is you don't have to give them up entirely. The CDC recommends thoroughly cooking oysters to an internal temperature of at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit. That means steaming them for a full 5 minutes, boiling until the shells open, or grilling until the meat is firm. These methods destroy Vibrio bacteria completely. And if you're craving that briny flavor and zinc-rich bite, consider switching to cooked mussels instead. Mussels offer similar nutritional benefits, rich in vitamin B12 and trace minerals, without the same bacterial risk when cooked properly. One story that stays with me is from James Patterson, a 68-year-old retired banker from South Carolina. He and his wife went out to their favorite seafood spot to celebrate their anniversary. James ordered raw oysters, something he'd enjoyed for decades, but within 24 hours, he was in the emergency room with a spiking fever and sepsis. He survived, but lost 3 toes and spent 2 months in rehabilitation. He now says that dinner changed his life, and not for the better. Since then, he's become an advocate for oyster safety, especially among his golf group. James's story isn't shared to scare you. It's here to remind us that what was once safe in our 40 seconds might not be in our 60 seconds or 70 seconds, and with just a bit more care, we can still enjoy the foods we love safely. Let's move on to the next seafood that many older adults still see as a healthy choice, one that's often displayed proudly at the fish counter and praised for its rich flavor. But for those over 60, it may pose risks that quietly build up over time. We're talking about king mackerel. King mackerel is a large predatory fish found in the Atlantic and Gulf waters. Because it sits high on the food chain, it accumulates methyl mercury, a neurotoxic metal that can interfere with the brain, especially in aging adults. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, methyl mercury is particularly harmful to developing brains in children, but it's also linked to memory decline, balance problems, and nerve damage in older adults. When we're younger, our bodies are more efficient at filtering out toxins, but after 60, that process slows down. The liver and kidneys work harder, and the brain becomes more vulnerable to even small doses of accumulated mercury over time. The FDA and EPA have jointly published guidance advising older adults, pregnant women, and children to avoid king mackerel entirely, placing it in the highest risk category of mercury-containing seafood. A study from Harvard University that tracked 1,200 adults over age 65 found that those who consumed high-mercury fish, like king mackerel, on a weekly basis experienced cognitive decline 30% faster than those who chose low-mercury options. Symptoms reported included hand tremors, brain fog, forgetfulness, and even peripheral neuropathy, tingling or numbness in the hands and feet that doesn't go away. The tricky part is, mercury toxicity doesn't always show up right away. It builds gradually. One week, your hands might feel unsteady while holding a coffee cup. A few months later, you might start forgetting names or repeating yourself in conversation. By the time many people seek help, the neurological damage has already begun. But there are safer options that provide all the flavor and omega-3 benefits of mackerel without the heavy metal load. Atlantic mackerel, for example, contains roughly 75% less mercury. Wild-caught salmon or sardines are even better choices. If you've been eating king mackerel regularly, you might consider asking your doctor for a heavy metals blood test. If mercury levels are high, a treatment called chelation therapy may help remove it, although some nerve damage can be permanent. Take the case of Margaret Chen, a 71-year-old retired teacher. She grilled king mackerel steaks twice a week, thinking she was making a heart-smart choice. After 6 months, she began dropping items without realizing. Her daughter noticed she couldn't recall her grandkids' names during a family visit. A blood test revealed dangerously high mercury levels, 18.5 parts per million, nearly triple the EPA's safety threshold. With medical guidance, Margaret switched to sardines and began mercury detox treatment. Her memory improved gradually, though she still experiences some lingering gaps. Now, she teaches senior cooking classes that focus on low-mercury seafood. Her message is simple: read the labels, know the fish, and protect your brain. Now, let's turn to another seafood that's a common budget staple, but one that may carry risks beyond what meets the eye. We're talking about imported shrimp, especially from large-scale farms in Southeast Asia. Shrimp is the most consumed seafood in the United States, and over 90% of it is imported mainly from countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and China. Unfortunately, many of these industrial shrimp farms operate with minimal oversight and use chemicals that are banned in U.S. food production. According to testing by Consumer Reports, up to 60% of imported shrimp samples contained residues of antibiotics that are not approved for human consumption in the U.S. including chloramphenicol and nitrofurans, both of which are known to cause serious side effects, from anemia to increased cancer risk. For seniors, whose immune systems may already be compromised, these residues can weaken the body's ability to fight infections and recover from illness. These shrimp farms often crowd hundreds of shrimp into shallow, murky ponds contaminated with waste. To keep the shrimp alive, producers add cocktails of antibiotics, pesticides, and growth hormones into the water, creating a toxic environment that ends up in your freezer. A study from Texas Tech University examined over 300 imported shrimp samples and found residues of more than 160 veterinary drugs, including 11 that are banned outright in the U.S. When consumed regularly, these chemicals accumulate in the liver and kidneys, organs that naturally slow down with age. Symptoms of exposure may include fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, recurring rashes, digestive discomfort, or even resistance to common antibiotics. There is a better way. Look for wild-caught American shrimp from the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic coast. Yes, they tend to cost more, but they're regulated, traceable, and typically free from banned substances. Another option is to buy certified shrimp. Look for labels from the Best Aquaculture Practices, BAP, or Aquaculture Stewardship Council, ASC. These certifications ensure that the shrimp were raised with better water quality, humane density levels, and restricted chemical use. Let me tell you about Robert Sullivan, a 66-year-old veteran living on a fixed income. For nearly a year, he bought frozen imported shrimp every week because it was cheap and easy to cook. But after several months, he developed a skin infection that no antibiotics seemed to touch. A specialist finally asked about his diet and traced the issue back to the imported shrimp. Lab tests revealed exposure to chloramphenicol, which had weakened his white blood cell production. Robert spent 4 months recovering. Now, he buys American wild-caught shrimp once a month, savoring it as a treat, and never looks back. Sometimes, it's not about eating more, it's about eating better. And when it comes to seafood, that choice can mean the difference between healing your body or quietly harming it over time. Now we come to the number one seafood you may want to think twice about, especially if you're over 60. It's one of the most affordable and widely available options at grocery stores across America. It's often labeled as light, low-fat, or even heart-healthy. But beneath the marketing, farm-raised tilapia may be quietly fueling inflammation, joint pain, and even cognitive decline. Tilapia is commonly farmed in overcrowded tanks, especially in countries like China, where the U.S. Food and Drug Administration inspects less than 2% of imported seafood. Many of these farms use low-cost feed made from corn, soy, and even chicken waste, yes, literal poultry feces, because it makes the fish grow faster. But this unnatural diet dramatically alters the fatty acid profile of the fish. According to research from Wake Forest University, the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in farm-raised tilapia can reach as high as 11:1. That's a serious imbalance. Why does that matter? Because omega-6 fatty acids, when consumed in excess and out of balance with omega-3 seconds, have been linked to chronic inflammation, the very process that worsens arthritis, cardiovascular disease, and neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's. In fact, the Wake Forest study found that eating farm-raised tilapia increased inflammatory markers in the body more than eating bacon or hamburgers. And for seniors already dealing with joint stiffness or brain fog, that added inflammation can quietly compound the problem. Even more concerning, a study from Johns Hopkins University found high levels of industrial pollutants called dioxins in some farmed tilapia samples, up to 11 times higher than the Environmental Protection Agency's safety limits. Dioxins are known carcinogens and tend to accumulate in fat tissue over time, especially in people with slower detoxification systems like older adults. Dr. Patricia Williams, a 69-year-old retired cardiologist, used to eat tilapia 4 times a week. She believed it was helping her maintain her heart health until she began experiencing worsening arthritis symptoms. Blood work showed her C-reactive protein levels, a key marker of inflammation, were nearly 10 times above normal. After eliminating tilapia and switching to wild-caught fish, her inflammation dropped by over 80% within 6 months. Today, she shares her story at medical conferences and refers to farmed tilapia as the sugar of the seafood world, cheap, convenient, but damaging over time. So, if you're looking for a safer, smarter alternative, consider one of the most underrated superfoods from the sea: wild Pacific sardines. Sardines might not have the glamour of salmon or the prestige of tuna, but they are nutritional powerhouses, especially for people over 60. These small fish offer an impressive range of benefits that support the aging body from the inside out. First, they're incredibly rich in calcium, but not the kind you get from pills. Sardines are eaten whole, with their soft, edible bones intact. That means each serving delivers highly bioavailable calcium that's already paired with phosphorus and vitamin D, creating the perfect environment for bone absorption. According to Stanford University research, postmenopausal women who ate sardines twice a week increased their bone density by 4% annually, while those taking calcium supplements saw no significant change. Sardines are also packed with vitamin D, which is essential for immune function, muscle strength, and mental clarity, yet over 70% of Americans over 60 are deficient. One small can of sardines provides up to 250 IU of natural vitamin D, helping close that gap in a way your body can actually absorb. Perhaps most importantly, sardines are a low-mercury, high omega-3 fish. Because they feed low on the food chain, mostly on plankton, they don't accumulate toxins the way larger fish do. Testing by the Environmental Defense Fund found that sardines contain mercury levels 90% lower than FDA safety limits, making them one of the safest seafoods to eat regularly. A 5-year study from Portugal that followed 800 seniors found that those who ate sardines at least twice a week had 38% fewer cardiovascular events and scored 15% higher on cognitive function tests. Scientists credited the unique balance of EPA and DHA, two critical omega-3 seconds found in sardines, as the reason behind the improved brain performance and heart health. If the texture or flavor feels too intense at first, try boneless, skinless sardines packed in olive oil. Mash them with avocado for a nutrient-dense spread. Mix them into pasta dishes or enjoy them on whole grain crackers for a protein-rich snack. The key is to start small and stay consistent. Just ask Frank Morrison, a 73-year-old former postal worker. Diagnosed with osteoporosis and struggling with low vitamin D, Frank was prescribed medication that caused severe stomach upset. A nutritionist suggested sardines instead. Skeptical but open-minded, Frank began eating a small serving every lunch. Within 6 months, his bone scan showed a 3% increase in density, the first improvement in years. His vitamin D normalized, and his joint discomfort eased. Today, Frank says he doesn't miss a day without his sardines and credits them for helping him stay active and medication-free well into his 70s. So, while farmed tilapia may be best left off your plate, sardines offer a surprisingly powerful alternative packed with nutrients your body needs, in a form it can actually use. Sometimes, the smallest fish make the biggest difference. If sardines are the humble heroes of healthy aging, then wild-caught Alaskan salmon is the crown jewel. This vibrant, reddish-pink fish isn't just a delicious dinner, it's a potent ally for your brain, heart, and entire body as you age. What sets wild salmon apart, especially the kind caught in cold Alaskan waters, is its incredible concentration of omega-3 fatty acids and a unique antioxidant called astaxanthin. This natural pigment gives salmon its deep color and its deep healing power. Astaxanthin is 6,000 times more effective than vitamin C in neutralizing oxidative stress. And unlike many antioxidants, it crosses the blood-brain barrier, where it can directly protect your neurons. According to research from UCLA, older adults who regularly consumed wild salmon showed 50% lower levels of C-reactive protein, a key marker of inflammation, compared to those who ate farmed varieties. And in Japan, a long-term study of adults over 65 found that eating wild salmon at least twice per week was associated with 40% less cognitive decline over an 8-year period. But salmon does more than protect your brain. It's also one of the richest natural sources of vitamin D, providing up to 1,000 IUs per serving. This is critical, especially since 70% of Americans over 60 have some level of vitamin D deficiency. And salmon's natural form of D3 is far more bioavailable than the kind found in most supplements. Another essential nutrient in wild salmon is selenium, which supports thyroid function, a gland that tends to slow down with age. Selenium also plays a role in DNA repair and immune response, making wild salmon a true multitasker in your diet. For best results, look for Copper River sockeye, king, or coho salmon from Alaska. These varieties are sustainably caught, low in contaminants, and high in nutrition. Grill it with lemon and herbs, bake it with vegetables, or enjoy it as salmon patties from canned wild options. 2 servings per week can make a measurable difference in how you feel. One story that stands out comes from Eleanor Chang, a 70-year-old grandmother diagnosed with early signs of dementia. She was prescribed medication, but the side effects were hard to manage. Her daughter researched alternatives and encouraged her to include wild salmon in her diet. After just 2 months of eating it 4 times a week, Eleanor's word recall and focus began to improve. Follow-up scans a year later showed reduced brain inflammation and improved blood flow. While she wasn't cured, her progression slowed significantly, and she now teaches brain food cooking classes at her local senior center. Now let's talk about something you may not expect to find on a list of healthy aging seafoods: mussels, specifically green-lipped mussels from the pristine coastal waters of New Zealand. These are not your average mussels. Green-lipped mussels are packed with a rare type of omega-3 known as eta-icosahexatrenoic acid, which is far more potent at reducing inflammation than the typical EPA and DHA found in fish oil. In fact, according to the Arthritis Foundation, ETA can help suppress joint pain and stiffness more effectively than some over-the-counter medications. Australian researchers studied 400 arthritis patients who supplemented with green-lipped mussel extract. After 12 weeks, participants reported an 89% reduction in joint pain and a 91% improvement in mobility. Even more impressive, MRI scans showed signs of actual cartilage repair in nearly half of the patients. These mussels also provide natural glucosamine and chondroitin, the same compounds found in joint supplements, but in a more easily absorbed form. They're also rich in bioavailable iron, copper, and manganese, all of which support blood health and connective tissue. Michael O'Brien, a 7-year-old construction foreman, was scheduled for knee replacement surgery. But after hearing about green-lipped mussels from his physical therapist, he decided to give them a try first. He started eating frozen green-lipped mussels daily, steamed with garlic and herbs. Within 6 weeks, his knee pain decreased so dramatically that he canceled his surgery consultation. 6 months later, X-rays revealed improved joint spacing. Michael now imports these mussels and shares them with fellow retirees who are also looking for natural relief. Finally, let's visit the Mediterranean coast, where the #1 seafood for healthy aging quietly resides: the wild Mediterranean octopus. Octopus might seem like an unusual choice, but this 8-armed marvel is loaded with complete protein, taurine, vitamin B12, and neuroprotective peptides. It provides all 9 essential amino acids in perfect ratios for muscle maintenance, something crucial as we age and naturally lose lean mass. Taurine, in particular, is a standout. Octopus contains up to 16 times more taurine than salmon. This amino acid plays a vital role in heart rhythm regulation, electrolyte balance, and brain cell function. According to cardiology research in Japan, seniors who consumed octopus weekly had 60% fewer cardiac events over a 10-year period. And for the brain, Mediterranean octopus delivers more than just B12. It contains compounds that mimic intrinsic factor, helping older adults absorb and use B12 efficiently, even if stomach acid production has declined. That means more energy, better mood regulation, and less brain fog. Italian and Greek studies found that elderly fishermen who regularly ate octopus scored 45% higher on memory and focus tests than those who lived inland. And Greek researchers observed a 12% increase in lean muscle mass and a 30% increase in grip strength after just 6 months of weekly octopus meals in seniors over 65. Dr. Maria Castellanos, a 72-year-old retired psychiatrist, began eating grilled octopus 3 times a week after early MRI scans revealed shrinkage in her hippocampus, a key memory center. 1 year later, follow-up scans showed that her brain volume had stabilized, and her short-term memory had noticeably improved. She now swears by octopus as part of her brain renewal protocol. If you're new to cooking octopus, start with baby octopus. Freeze it first to tenderize, then simmer slowly or grill with olive oil and lemon. The result is a dish that not only tastes amazing but nourishes your brain, your heart, and your future. Now that we've explored the seafoods to watch out for and the ones to embrace, let's quickly recap. The 4 to avoid after 60 include raw oysters from warm waters, which can carry harmful bacteria, king mackerel, high in mercury imported shrimp, often treated with banned antibiotics, and farm-raised tilapia, which may increase inflammation. On the other hand, the 4 to add to your plate are Pacific sardines, rich in calcium and omega-3 seconds wild Alaskan salmon, packed with vitamin D and brain-boosting antioxidants, green-lipped mussels from New Zealand, excellent for joint support, and Mediterranean octopus, a powerful source of protein and memory-protective nutrients. These aren't just food choices, they're tools to help you stay sharp, mobile, and independent. After 60, your body responds more clearly to what you eat. Even small changes, like choosing sardines over tilapia, can make a real difference over time. So ask yourself, what's one small switch you can make this week? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you tried any of these seafoods? Have they helped you feel better, think more clearly, or move more easily? Share your story in the comments. It might inspire someone else on their health journey. If you found this helpful, feel free to share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to subscribe for more practical, science-backed tips on healthy aging. Thank you for spending your time with us. Take care and remember, it's never too late to make a nourishing choice for your future.